Hey, look, I was like, is it thing live? Hey, everybody, welcome, and welcome again to this beautiful Friday. I think Friday is kind of my day. So it's an honor we decided to join us for the series that we're in called The Paralyzation of Fear and Disappointment. We're on part two, week two. I hope you all were able to do your homework. You can like, comment, and share this video with someone else. Hope you're able to do your homework. I still got this asthmatic cough. As many of you know or don't know, I'm your girl Martisha T.LaCroix, affectionately known as T.LaCroix. Some people know me as Jersey, but it's a story for another day. And I'm just excited to be with you all on today, right? End of the week. Let's have a conversation about what's going on. And so y'all know we've been talking about the paralyzation of fear and disappointment. What has got you shackled to you not living your best life, and you not exceeding the goals you have, you not pursuing purpose, you not believing in yourself, or whatever the case may be. And so we kicked off last week kind of like with a little introduction. It's a 4-part series. And so we started out with, of course, part one was what hindered you, right? What is hindering you or what hindered you? And you all who have went and did the survey, got your download. I hope you wrote it out. I'm gonna talk about mine in just a second. And then we're gonna type into this thing. I'm looking at my clock because, excuse me, because I want to make sure I am. I'm like, why my mic over there? I'm gonna tell y'all, when you got this belly in front of you because you're pregnant, you're like, I can't even sit close to the table like I want to. My bad. But I hope you all were able to get the download. It's absolutely free. Just to kind of journey yourself through this journey, right, that we're on together, because I'm on the journey too. This came out of a space where I'm still working through. I'm not saying that I'm all the way finished, because I'm walking out the series with you all, but I want you to know that I answered the questions and I did a couple of different things. So let's recap last week, right? Well, we asked, I got my notebook, that's what I'm looking down, y'all. We asked the question, what hindered you, right? Or what's hindering you? What is paralyzing you in place and stopping you from living the life you expect to live, you desire to live? That's the end game, right? It doesn't matter, it doesn't mean you have to be a multi-millionaire. I know I'm not going to go there, but multi-millionaire or a billionaire. If you want to be wealthy, right? You want to be wealthy in love and wealthy in peace and wealthy in your marriage and wealthy in your parenting or whatever that looks like for you. You want to also have financial wealth. Yes, you're going to leave legacy, but does that necessarily mean you're going to be a multi-millionaire today? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. You may be a 6-figure earner. That may be good enough for you. That may be your catapult, your pinnacle, and that's okay. But really, at the end of the day, something is stopping you from living the life that you desire. So we talked about what hindered you, and I did the assignment too, right? I wrote down some notes for me. What hinders me or what has hindered me is my thoughts, what I think about myself or what I think others think about me, right? Also, what has hindered me is past disappointments, where things have happened, and this happened in real life, where I've hosted an event and then no one showed up, right? And so I'm in tears. I guess, like, do I want to actually put myself out there again? Or people don't like your content, people don't like your post, or people don't show up for webinars, or people don't buy into the thought process. I'm just being honest, like disappointments, whether they're personal disappointments of family or even our business disappointments, or you expected to have this and it didn't happen in the time you expected. Like, if I be fully transparent, I expected to have all my children by 30. Let's just say I'm very far off, not far off, but I'm off from that now. I'm not in my 30s anymore, believe it or not. And so, it's just disappointment. I'm saying disappointment. My kid was saying these are things that you just expect to happen that didn't happen in the time you expected them to happen in. And that was something for me. When it doesn't work out the first time and I have to do it again, that's something that hinders me from trying again, because you like, listen, I'm built on disappointment. I'm gonna tell y'all too, that you have to realize that one thing is that it's not, I've learned that it's not predicated on saying it's supposed to be a disappointment, but it's to build you, not break you. And I think we've allowed it to break us and say, you know what, maybe I'm okay in the jar versus I'm gonna still try again to get out, right? Example of the fleas and the lid. And so that's some things that I put down. Other people's opinions, right? What do other people think of me? What are they saying about me? And I was, no, other opinions don't matter. But I promise you, people said they had to overcome it. It wasn't something that didn't work. They had to overcome the fact that what's more important is what I think of me, right? So those are things I wrote down that hindered me. I hope you were able to write down some things that hindered you. Another thing I want to talk about real quick is I was asked the question, can you ask questions? You absolutely can ask questions while we're on here. What I will say is I'm not necessarily answering them, and I say on this particular session, because I want to make sure I stick to my time and I get to the meat of everything, and I'm not on here dragging it out. And so what I am going to do is when I get questions, I'll just answer them at the next session, so that I can kind of stay within my time parameters. And then as we have other stuff, well, definitely with private sessions and private things we're doing, we'll definitely dig deep and have a Q&A, excuse me. All right. So the question I got before I go into today's topic, I got last week excuse me, was can relationships be an hindrance? Can relationships stop you? Now, this is T.LaCroix talking. Let me say this. I believe that relationships hinder you when you don't have realistic, loving, what's the word I'm looking for? Realistic boundaries, right? And you don't stay to your boundaries. Now, we think of boundaries as a bad thing. You know, we look at fences, they keep things in, keep people out. It just what gates to the very, that's what a boundary does. It keeps people in, keep people out. It controls exactly how to charge the traffic to be in that neighborhood, right? And so it's the same concept with relationships. I think what hinders people is that they have an expectation in a relationship that was never what that relationship was meant to be. It just wasn't. And so we allow the red flags or our boundaries to be tested and tainted. And then we get upset with the people because of the simple fact that we didn't continue with our boundaries. Now, I say that to say with a lot of areas, especially being a woman of color, is that, you know, we tend to be like, I'm doing all this stuff and someone has to give me permission to have a break. Versus I'm not doing it today, or I'm taking a break today. And so when that permission is not given, we get bitter, we get angry, we get upset, because what happens is we're giving you control and power to say when it's okay for me to take a minute, or we do all this stuff like I'm doing all this, and wait for people to applaud that or commend that when really we didn't really want to do to start with. And so those boundaries are tested in relationships because people are always just being a yes man or yes woman, to be politically correct. When the reality is you don't want to do it. Or the reality is that's not even in your team. You don't have the time to do it. And so I do believe that relationships get hindered. You got to know, I was thinking Billy Rogers. I mean, it's Billy Rogers? Yeah. You got to know when to hold it, know when to fold it, know when to walk away, know when to run. You got to count your money when you sit at the table. That's how the song goes. Which basically to me means I have to be very clear and intentful when it comes to relationships and setting my boundaries. So if it's a person who, you know, it's the people that I do love and I do care about and I'm very close to, that I may not tell business dreams to or goals to because they may not understand it well enough for me to tell them. Not saying they're not smart, like that, but they don't see the vision. They may not have never had a business, never owned a home. So I love them and I know my boundaries or my limits of what I tell them. So yes, I believe they can be a hindrance. What I will say too on a excuse me, on the flip side of that is that for me, what's most important is this relationship. My relationship with God is number one. It supersedes all relationships and in this relationship. Because I feel like when you have this relationship good and this relationship good, the relationship with myself good, the other relationships, which is like the extension, feel so much better because I'm saying to myself, this is what's most important to me. He's guiding me. God is guiding me. And I'm not afraid to talk about God. I love God. He's guiding me, right? And I'm making sure I'm loving me. Then when I set boundaries here, when I make shifts or changes, the people who are meant to be a part, whatever that looks like, it'll flow from me. I'm not trying to get this where you're giving me the fuel I need for that, but I'm letting it flow outward based on my own internal relationship. So hope that answers that question for the person who asked it, but it can be a hindrance. So today's topic, and I'm making them all questions on purpose because I want to be thought-provoking. So am I good enough? Question mark. Am I good enough? And so this is you evaluating yourself because here's what happens. You be sitting down second guess our abilities. Excuse me. I should have brought my inhaler. Our abilities to do things based on so many factors. And we fail to realize that you have been equipped for whatever stage you are in. Now, do we have to develop? Absolutely. But sometimes, and I got 1, 2, 3, 4 areas, I want to show you that sometimes we get shackled to the fact, or we get paralyzed in the fact of questioning, am I good enough? In a area of based on other factors. Not that am I good enough based on do I have the skills to meet the criteria, or have I studied and have I exercised these gifts and callings and these purpose in my life, but have I genuinely, right, looked at other things. And so what I want to really kind of sit back and say, have I questioned, am I good enough? And ways that we may have done that, but also, it's some different ways that you like, okay, well, I am good enough. Do you have the self-confidence to do the exact thing that you desire to do? So number one area, I feel like we get paralyzed to fear and disappointment and questioning, am I good enough, is comparison. Now, I'm all about sports and stats, right? The numbers don't lie, right? How many football games you won, how many basketball championship rings you have. I'm just not a fan of comparing people, because how I play my game, how you play your game gonna be different, right? So it's just what happens though, right? You are a ball player, I'm a ball player. We're two different ball players, we got stats, right? Stats don't lie. And so I take that in comparison and says, am I looking at taking what I do in comparison to what others are doing? And so that's one way when I talk about comparison in sports. Not necessarily the stats, but just the people, right? The other thing is I realize we compare ourselves to is we'll say things like, well, whether it's better or worse, right? Well, this person may read well. Well, I can read better than that. Or I can do this better than whatever. Or they're really not that good. So we take the comparison of taking someone else down in order to make ourselves look good. But the reality is I don't have to do all of that. I am good all by myself. I am very good, great, me independently alone. And not in comparison to anybody else. And I'll see people do that like, well, I wouldn't have worn that. Or I wouldn't buy that. It's a comparison. Is it that you wouldn't buy it because that's not your thing? Or you're not buying it because you can't afford it? And so your way of trying to negate what it is that what you're doing? Are you not doing this because this person may have at the capital? Let me say from an event perspective, sometimes we look at big events. Like when I look at a Tony Robbins or a TD Jakes or these people that do monster events, right? I could say, well, they're doing this and doing that. And I just have this small event, and in my mind, it's a comparison, but there's no comparison. The people don't realize the amount of work and volume and manpower it takes to put those events on. I personally would prefer the smaller ones, right? Because it takes a lot of moving parts that you have to be accountable for. And not to mention the financial strain, the insurance that has to come with that comes with, but instead we compare as though it's not good enough because it's not on that level. And they had to grow to that, so that's one way. And when you go through the workbook, and I'll talk about the end, these are the questions I ask. Who have you compared yourself to, and and why did you compare yourself to them? Like, what made you want to compare yourself? Why did you compare them? What did you compare? Like, what did you say? Things that you said, and it could be a person. It could be like, when I was on social media, or whatever. But how did you compare yourself, right, to that? All right. Next thing that I see that we shackle to, that shackles the fear and disappointment, is justification. So we justify why we're where we are based on someone else's story. So, for example, if this person gets access to resources or they're at events, you may say, well, that person, their parents have money. That's why they get to go to college, right? Or they don't have to, it's always something, y'all think of something else I can give a person, like, excuse me, they went on vacation. Oh, well, of course they're going to go to the Bahamas. Their family is from there. Like, it's always a reason why someone is up and you are down. Or vice versa, that you're up and they're down. Well, they don't even try. Or they don't like it's always we justify our actions as to why we're not where we are. Oh, well, that she has he has a wife, she has a husband, right? That's why he or she can do those things. Or they don't have no kids. I do. So it's always a reasoning why we are shackled to fear, or we're saying we're not good enough based on a comparison, or really a justification of circumstance. Let me tell y'all, we all got the same 24 hours. What you do with them is strictly up to you. Whatever that looks like. I got to go to work. Me too. I got to take care of my kids. Me too. I got to do this. Me too. Right? So, but I still get to choose what the time I have in between, do I still do what I need to do? And so the question I'm going to ask here, right, is name a time you justified why you didn't do what you needed to do to win, right? Name a time. Name a time you justify something, or you compared, you looked at someone and you justify why you didn't take action and they did. And try to explain that. Why did I not take action and they took action? Explain that. Explain who I compare myself to, where I justify how I can do what I need to do. There was a comment about something that happened. I was listening to something about people saying they don't have access to books. This is just really happening, y'all. It has books. And the person said that it's not that you don't have access to books, you choose not to do what you need to do, because everybody can, the library is free. You can have access to this books on your phone that are absolutely free. So now that you don't have access to it, you choose not to use the access you have. So we justify things to justify why we're not taking action. So what have you justified? Whether it was compared to something else or whoever, somebody else, what are you justifying? Number 3, delusion. Yeah, excuse this asthmatic cough. I'm sorry. Delusion. So delusion has got you pinned to fear and just paralyzed to fear and disappointment. And you're saying, I'm not good enough because I have watched movies that portray this beautiful man. And listen, it's not just about business. It's not just about business or careers or millions of dollars. It's not just that. Some of you are shackled to the fact of fear when it comes to your marriage, when it comes to your children, when it comes to your relationships, when it comes to church or whatever it is. So it's not just for one thing. But delusion, you see things on TV or on social media that are not real. And so because you tapped into this delusion, you're like, I'm never going to be good enough. Especially in relationships, like with marriage. I watch a lot of love movies, a lot of love stories. I just like them. But the reality of it is marriage is work. You've got to work it. It's work. It ain't all peaches and cream and glamour and sprinkles and all that stuff all the time. But what'll happen is you get so sucked into the delusion that you was like, you ain't like such and such husband, or you ain't like such and such wife, or you don't do. But that's not the reality. I'm not saying everybody perpetrating the fraud, but some people are perpetrating the fraud on social media. And what happens is, and I heard Jeezy say this on an interview, he was saying what happens, everybody only shows their wins, and because of that we feel we're in a microwave society. So you feel that today I'm gonna be down, but tomorrow I'm gonna be up, because there's no work in between. A day can change a lot, but there's still work in between. We're still attempting to do the work. Right. And so as something, I'm very open that, every day ain't a perfect day, but it's a day that I got up and I did what I had to do, or attempted to do what I had to do. And so I want you to think about that. Like, what have you seen, right? That's delusional. And it's on social media. It's on everything. And you get caught up scrolling, right? You get caught scrolling. And I think about the scene from Candy Burris on the reunion show of the Housewives. She's like, the lies, that people are telling, these falsified stories, and you feel like, wow, so the cream cheese is up and getting it, and I ain't getting it. What's happening? What am I doing wrong? Because just yesterday she was down. I'm telling you, it ain't happening like that. So what have you bought into the delusion, right? What have you seen? What movie have you watched? What social media post have you looked at? People you following, getting caught up in the glitz and glamour, right? Right? That had you in delusion, or feeling like, I'm never going to get to that part where I have this or acquire that has you in delusion. What have you watched? Write that out. What does that look like? These are questions, of course, that are all going to be into the download. I'll talk about this in a second. Last one, when we talk about this, am I good enough? Fraud. Now, I'm going to tell you 2 stories, but I'm going to explain this first. So fraud, being someone you're not instead of your authentic self. People ever say, you perpetrating a fraud. I don't know if young people say that, but we say you perpetrating a fraud. You being who you're not. You're being someone else. You're acting like somebody else, right? You being in second place, someone else in the first place. All these jargons and slang slogans, are what we say, right? mimicking other people. So you watched enough of someone talking or speaking or doing podcasts or whatever the case may be, and now you're doing exactly what they're doing instead of finding your authentic voice. How's that working for you? I don't know. But I will tell you, this is true story happened. When I first started going live, right? I used to watch this person, and they would be like, they would get on and they would greet the people. Hello, 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 Tish, hello, hello, Marcus, hello, 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 right? And y'all, I thought it was the coolest thing because people was responding back to the person, right? So I started doing it on a live one day, and my husband was watching. And y'all, you can ask him for yourself. I'm tell you what happened. He was watching, and he was like, he said, "Don't you ever do that again." And I was like, "Do what again?" He was like, "Don't do that. Hello, hello." It's like he was mocking me. He really was. Hello, hello, hello. Don't do that. That is not you. And it's corny. Like that don't even look good. You doing it. Stop doing that. That's not who you are. You came from like real bad. So I was like, and then I saw it made me really think about all the times I tried to take what other people doing because I saw it was working for them, right? And trying to do their thing. And so it's funny because over time, as I just trying to find my voice and discover where I was, my vein, what made me pop, you'll like if you go back at least, I don't know. I would definitely say pre-COVID, maybe 2017, I don't know, 18. Well, you'll see, I didn't do the welcome, welcome, and welcome again like I do now. But at the end, I said it a different way, but at the end of videos or somewhere in the video, I would always say, remember to do like on purpose, with purpose, and for purpose, right? And I may add something in that's something I'm talking about, but that's something that I've evolved over time. And over time, here's what happens, y'all. So because I say it so much, or I say it after every video, or now it's this thing on my phone, you plug into the charger, I forgot what it's called, an automation thing. When I plug my phone up, it'll say, remember, do live, it'll say it so I can remember myself. Now, when I open videos, when I close them, I open and close them the same way for the most part. And so my kids, because they heard me say it so much, they're like, Mom, I was about to say what you say. And so I was tickled because I had to find what worked for me and what made me feel unique. Let me feel it. I said it with a flow that is my flow, or how I talk to people, or how I get on lives. I'm very open and laughing at myself for the most part. I don't have to perpetrate anybody but be me. And when everybody else wants to tell partial truth, I'm gonna tell the whole truth. Like the whole vitamin, because I'm taking this new vitamin, I didn't bring it in the office today. But my daughter, like, she straight up is giving me a hard time. And I'm gonna show every piece of it. Y'all, it's good for her. But she don't want to take it, right? She likes the gummy chewables and she'll eat those. So I had to strategically figure out a way to give it to her. I'm going to just tell you, oh yeah, she took it, y'all go buy the vitamin. I ain't going to lie to y'all. I had to figure out something that she would like, and she took, that's how I got her to take it. So what I'm saying is being yourself, right, is better than being everybody else. You may not be great at getting on lives. You may not be great at talking in front of people, but it's something that you uniquely can do. They're like, well, you know what? She did it. I can do it. Not do it the way you did it, but do it differently. And so I want you to really think to yourself, who have you mimicked? Right? Who have you tried to be like? That was a true story that happened. My husband, he hated it so bad. He got me. Who have you tried to be like, right? It's not working. Like, to be honest with you, it's not working, right? And that you're trying to, but you know exactly how they did it. How did that work out for you? And how did you shift to being your authentic self? So I hope I got some nuggets today on this paralyzation of fear and disappointment. Hope you got some nuggets today. Y'all forgive my breathing. I'm telling y'all, 29 weeks. We're doing it. We're getting there. But I'm excited for what's happening. Go do the survey. If you've done a survey before, do it again. I'm updating the download. So if you downloaded already, if you refresh it, it might update automatically. I'm not sure, but definitely make sure that you go in, you do the survey, and of course, grab your free download, grab your noni juice, get your energy up, y'all. It's doing really good for my energy. Like in the mornings, I'm really up, and probably till about 3-4 o'clock, I'll start to study young because I'm tired. If I take it again, then I have some energy, but I choose not to take it twice and after I have a meeting I have to be on because I want to go to sleep. I've slept better because I am on it, and also like for my personal, but like being pregnant, change some things. So it's really helped kind of give me the energy, put my body in perspective. I'm focused, believe it or not, because I take it first thing, and I still take my normal prenatal vitamin, my vitamins that I've been taking. But I take it, and I'm taking the exact amount they tell me to take to kind of see how it works. It's been working really good. I know it's my husband; he's alert most of the day, the whole day, and then after, of course, he's sleeping really, really well. And so that's something that was not happening before. So that's been really, really good for us. And so we started our daughter hers, and it's really good for our bone health, her immune system, digestion, focus, clarity for her at her age. And so I definitely have to post something. I'm doing better with my posting game. But it's been good for us. So grab that. Also, the Mother-daughter experience tickets are on sale. They'll probably go live for everybody, live to our group, our private community. So definitely, you want to get a private community, just put it on your server. We'll get somebody to get the information to you. That went out, and then of course, the Martisha experience will be in October. So I'm excited to get all the events in before I go on sabbatical. So I hope you can join us. I'm excited. Listen, I want to make sure that you are freeing yourself. We're going into the last quarter of the year. There are people that do this last quarter, push all stuff, but ultimately, even if you achieve 2 goals, you've done better than you did before. So I want to make sure that we're all achieving goals. There's so many things I want to achieve and I want to accomplish and get done. And I definitely want to serve more people. That's really my ultimate goal, to serve more people in all the areas God has called me to serve them in. So with that being said, remember to do life on purpose, for purpose, and with purpose. Are you good enough? Yes, you absolutely are. Have a great rest of your Friday and an awesome weekend. See y'all next week.